When you're in a hospital, there's this huge, mostly invisible system that's working around the clock just to keep you safe. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of its most critical parts, the web of safeguards designed to stop medication errors in their tracks. So let's dive in and see how it all works. All right, let's start with a big question. When you think about everything that goes on in a hospital, the complex surgeries, all that high-tech machinery, the risk of infections, what do you think is one of the biggest, most common dangers a patient actually faces? The answer? Well, it might actually surprise you. It's not always some big, dramatic emergency. Nope. Simple medication errors are one of the most common and persistent threats to patient safety out there. And because they can happen so often, they present this massive challenge for the whole system. Our first instinct, whenever something goes wrong, is to ask this exact question, right? Who messed up? Who's at fault here? But in the world of modern patient safety, that's actually the wrong question to be asking. This quote right here, it pretty much nails the single biggest shift in hospital safety over the past few decades. See, the goal isn't to find a person to blame. It's to find the crack in the system that allowed a totally normal human error to happen in the first place. And that's the core idea we're going to unpack today. Okay, so I want you to think of it like this giant safety net, but with multiple layers. No single layer is perfect, right? But when you weave them all together, hospitals create this really robust system that's designed to catch mistakes before they can ever cause any harm. We're going to walk through 3 of these crucial layers. First up, let's talk about the most fundamental layer, the people. The dedicated professionals right there on the front lines. The entire system is really built on the expertise and just the sheer diligence of our nurses, doctors, and pharmacists. So before any medication is given, the staff runs through this critical checklist, and it's known as the 7 rights. They're confirming, is this the right patient? Is it the right drug? Is it the right dose? Then they check the right way to give it, the route, and the right time. And finally, they make sure the paperwork is correct and, that there's a legitimate reason for this medication in the first place. It's this disciplined, repeatable process that acts as the very first line of defense, and it happens thousands and thousands of times a day in any hospital. But what about when things are moving a mile a minute? In the chaos of an emergency, orders are often just shouted out, and that's a prime spot for miscommunication. The system has to have a plan for that. And this is just a brilliantly simple solution to a really complex problem, the readback policy. It's mandatory. So the nurse or pharmacist has to physically write the order down and then read it back, word for word, to the doctor. It creates this closed loop of communication that just confirms everyone is on the exact same page, even when every single second counts. Okay, let's move on to that second layer, because beyond what people do, the hospital environment itself is designed with these built-in safeguards. The whole idea is to make it easy to do the right thing and really hard to do the wrong thing. So some medications are just way more dangerous if you get the dose wrong. The system calls these high alert medications. And to make them totally impossible to miss, they're often flagged with a really simple but powerful visual cue, like a bright red sticker. For a nurse, seeing that red sticker is an instant signal. Stop, slow down, double check absolutely everything before you move forward. This is just a perfect example of a system safeguard in action. Check this out. Dopamine and dobutamine. They look alike, they sound alike, and if you store them alphabetically, they'd be sitting right next to each other on the shelf. The potential for a mix-up there is huge, right? So the system solution is incredibly simple, but it's literally life-saving. Just store them in completely different places. Problem solved. And now for what might be the most important layer of all. How does this safety net actually get stronger? Well, it learns. The system is specifically designed to learn from its own mistakes, and even from the mistakes that almost happened. This is where the idea of a near miss becomes so crucial. A near miss is an error that gets caught just in the nick of time. So for example, a pharmacist spots the wrong dose before the drug ever even leaves the pharmacy. Now, in a blame culture, the instinct might be to just, hide that mistake. But in a system improvement culture, that near miss is treated like a gift. It's a free lesson in how to make the system safer for every single patient that comes after. And hospitals work really hard to build this reporting culture. They use things like anonymous systems so staff can report issues without any fear of getting in trouble. They hold daily safety huddles to talk about potential risks before they become problems. It's all about creating an environment where information can flow freely, which lets the entire system get smarter over time.
So when an error does manage to get through all those layers of the safety net and actually reaches a patient, the response isn't to punish someone. The immediate response is to understand. Why did the net fail? This is done through a formal process called a root cause analysis, or an RCA. A whole team, nurses, pharmacists, doctors, gets together to trace the event all the way back to its origin. They're not looking for a person to blame. They're hunting for the broken process, the confusing label, or the flawed procedure that set the stage for the mistake. And this, right here, is the philosophy that holds the whole thing together. Every single error, every single near miss is a chance to make that safety net stronger for every future patient. It's simple. Learn, don't blame. So now that we've seen all these hidden layers working behind the scenes, what does it all mean for you as a patient or as a family member? How can you actually plug into this system? So let's just do a quick recap. We've seen that patient safety isn't one person's responsibility. It's a deep, multi-layered system. We've seen how simple things, like a red sticker or where a drug is stored, can be incredibly powerful safeguards. And most importantly, we've learned this entire system is built on a culture of learning from every mistake and near miss, instead of just pointing fingers. Knowing all of this, you actually become a part of that final checkpoint. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Whether it's asking, hey, what is this medication for? Or can we just double check that dose? Being an engaged, curious patient, well, that's the final and maybe the most important layer of the entire safety net.